Musi Mamani?
I mean, the greatest difficulty about service delivery protests is that in 2014, when you look at the figures, I mean, I want to use one simple example and talk about sanitation in South Africa. If you go to Limpopo, access to sanitation is at 37%. Gauteng, 83%. Western Cape, 93%. Eastern Cape, 57%. Now take those two provinces, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, as horrific examples. It means only a third or just over a third of the people in Limpopo have got access to sanitation 20 years later. I think when you realize that, people start to wake up and say, it's 20 years later. We can't accept the fact that our government is committed to building a better cattle kraal than in fact giving us access to sanitation. You can't afford that. The second issue is about when it comes to issues of service delivery protests. The protest rights are enshrined in our constitution. Nobody debates that fact. But we must also accept the fact that they are escalating to levels of violence. When you realize the fact that 65% of young people are unemployed, you start to discover very quickly that it's a recipe for disaster. So our view is simply that there must be better accountability for public servants. Often what happens is that people actually phone the MMC or the MEC and they say, please can you come and meet with us about housing? I have communities that as I've been traveling, they say, we phoned the MMC 4 times, 5 times, they still haven't showed up. And so as a result of that, there's this increasing distance between politicians and people, and so people become frustrated. Equally so, it's about creating, you can't hire people who don't know how to do the job. So ultimately, when you've got that incapable state, that state loses its capacity to be able to deliver on basic services. But the final thing is, we've got to have a better relationship between civil servants and where voters are at. I agree with you completely. If you dislike the government, you need to vote it out. But I think institutions such as this one need to be able to be a lot more vocal, even on behalf of those communities that are in fact protesting, because you need to be able to say to us, politicians, we need to hold you to account. And that finally, when we talk about public order policing, we often find that when people arrive at service delivery protests, they send normal detectives with live ammunition, which doesn't help. I've been to enough of those where people have been shot at by police and die. We've got to be able to capacitate that public order policing so that when a service delivery protest takes place, it's better police.
Thank you, Ms. Merman.